Incredibles 2 director Brad Bird has dismissed a possible plot hole that a fan pointed out on social media. Incredibles 2 came out this June, which was a sequel to the immensely popular film The Incredibles from 2004. The film was also Bird's 6th time directing a feature-length film this year. The first Incredibles took the world by storm when it was initially released. The film smashed box office expectations, and a sequel had been highly anticipated for years. After a 14-year gap, fans finally got Incredibles 2, which took place immediately after the events of the first one. The film revealed more about the mysterious villain, the Underminer, but mostly focused on the new antagonist called Screenslaver. Bob and Helen Parr are encouraged to get back into the superhero game. However, Elastigirl is chosen for missions over Mr. Incredible. While the film was written and directed by Bird, some people couldn't help but point out problems with the story, including the stereotypes pertaining to women in the workplace. The sequel has also been criticized for having plot holes, but Bird has now dismissed one of these allegations. Related, Incredibles 2 fan art imagines a dark sequel for Pixar's superheroes. Bird recently took to Twitter after Wyatt Wu complained about a plot hole near the end of the film when the superheroes are on the ship. The plot hole in question comes when the mind-controlled Mr. and Mrs. Incredible speak about how superheroes are actually a threat. The Twitter user continues to explain that the heroes saved the ship from crashing into the city, but nobody should have cheered for them since the citizens would have assumed it was the heroes' fault in the first place. Bird then denied that this was a plot hole by responding that the exchange of information should have been obvious and that he didn't feel as if it needed to be explained to the audience. Bird's full tweet can be seen below. I don't agree that it's a plot hole. I assumed the audience would figure out that once the boat was stopped, normal exchanges of information would happen between that crash and the villain being taken away. I didn't need to show it. Nothing worse than explaining the obvious. https t.co/entjewel6hc3. Despite what anybody says about Incredibles 2, the film made a huge amount of money. Incredibles 2 outperformed the original when it came to box office numbers and even crossed $1 billion at the worldwide box office. Fans may have had to wait for more than a decade to see an Incredibles sequel, but it was well worth it for Disney and Pixar. While Bird makes a valid argument against this being a plot hole, there are other elements of the film that can't as easily be fixed. Reviews for Incredibles 2 were mostly positive. However, some thought that the film just couldn't live up to its predecessor and felt dated. After such a long wait for a second film, some even claim that Incredibles 2 was the most disappointing Pixar sequel. Even though the sequel wasn't able to please everyone, it still did well enough at the box office to possibly receive a third installment. Nothing has been confirmed in regards to a third Incredibles, but with the success of the first 2 films, anything could happen. Source: Brad Bird tags The Incredibles 2.